Former NBA champion Richard Jefferson calls out the Chicago Bulls, and the Chicago Bulls are dealing with some injury concerns that could be a major problem for this franchise moving forward. This is your host, Rico Greenhowe, and you have found yourself on another episode of Bulls Digest. And so, look, the Chicago Bulls were absolutely handled by the Milwaukee Bucks last night, 122-106. The story of that game was Giannis being able to take control of that basketball game. He had 41 points. He had 9 rebounds and 8 assists. And the Milwaukee Bucks just absolutely dominated the Chicago Bulls. But the storyline going into that game was what Richard Jefferson had to say, because this game was on ESPN. Richard Jefferson is one of the hosts on their ESPN show. And I believe what he had to say was very telling about where this Chicago Bulls franchise is right now, and really just the projection of where this franchise is going. And what I am about to show as far as what he said really does not give, his comments, I think, the justice that it should get, because you need to go check out that clip. It's 47 seconds. It is off of the ESPN show that they have pre-game, and it's him and Kendrick Perkins and the host on there, and they go in on the Chicago Bulls. And I just think that Richard Jefferson was right on with what he had to say. And so this is Richard Jefferson and his comments, where he's talking about the relevancy of the Chicago Bulls and that it is not coming anytime soon. And he talks about just like how they have been in this middle of the bottom, right? They continue to be that. They've done it for multiple years, and they refuse to strip it down. He turns to Kendrick Perkins, and he's talking about going ahead and trading Lavine and Vooch and some of these veteran players. So they refuse to do that. And he said that, instead of going all in on the youth movement, where they made this move for Josh Giddey and traded off Alex Caruso, somehow ultimately they continue to keep doing the same thing and it's not working, and that there has been no change and there's really no direction for this franchise. And so, look, that is what I have said on multiple videos here, that this team needs to get a plan. It needs to get a direction, and it does not have one. And so, paraphrasing what he had to say, just jumping back into it, this team is probably set up to go around the patented merry-go-round, which is why I bring that graphic out, because the Chicago Bulls do continue to keep running it back the same way. And I know that there is this notion that the Chicago Bulls are going to trade Zach Lavine and Vooch, and, they probably should, along with Torrey Craig and some other veterans on the team, but I don't think it's going to happen. And I've said this because I think that AK and this front office is really geared towards still trying to win with what they have. And that would mean that you're going to continue to keep running it back with Zach Lavine and Vooch, and then you're going to try to go from there, because this team has no interest in completely rebuilding this team like it should. And when he talks about the Alex Caruso and the Giddey trade, I love that he brings that up, because, the heck with the stats. It's clear to me that the Chicago Bulls don't want this trade to work, and I don't think that they're going to set it up to where this trade will work in the future. You knew what you were getting with Josh Giddey. You knew what you had with the defensive liabilities. Did this team go out there and try to address those? No. The roster it's an awkward roster construction, and you really have not been working like you should to change it in order to fix it, to get it in the right direction. And I don't want to hear, hey, we need to gel together, we need to get to an off season. I don't feel that. I think that even a year from now, we're going to be talking about the same things with this team, because, look, it doesn't matter who you draft. And we know that when you make these trades with Zach Lavine and Vooch, we're probably going to be not happy as Chicago Bulls fans, because you're probably going to get something back that doesn't make sense with the younger pieces that you're trying to build with. And it's going to be something that it's just not even of equal value to what you would be shipping off. And so, yes, this team is probably headed to the same situation over and over again until you completely tear it down and you seriously look at these young players, and you even have to look at them and go, okay, who's staying and who's not staying. That's fine if you want to ship off some of these younger players if you're seeing that that's not going to fit the bigger plan, but you don't even do that. You don't even do that. And we're going to jump into that because that leads me to why you would be concerned with these injury updates that we got around Patrick Williams, around Lonzo Ball. And really, this shows you that the Chicago Bulls are not committed to tearing it down and starting it over. Because with Patrick Williams, we found out that this injury may be far worse than what was led on. And we already saw that with Lonzo Ball. And it looks like we're trending towards the same thing that we had with Patrick Williams last year. I hope that this is not the case, but it's the same injured foot. You go out there, you list him as questionable, you hold him back for the test and everything like that. And then now we're finding out that he's going to be held out for at least a week. And I talked about this before in the pregame video that this reminds me of what happened last year, where you are downplaying the injury. He ends up staying out for a month. Next thing you know, it's a surgery and he's out for the season. And that is kind of what I feel that it's trending towards. Because with Lonzo Ball, it was something where, okay, he's just going to be out for a little bit. It's a sprained wrist. Then we're finding out that, he's still got pain in the wrist. We find out that it's actually bad enough to where he could have had surgery, season-ending surgery at that. And then now he's on a 2 to 6 week time period and he's still trying to ramp back up. This is far worse than what was reported. And this is Jamal Collier that talks about this. And it's really concerning when you actually hear what Billy Donovan has to say in regards to what Patrick Williams actually told him. Because he says, like, in the Monday night game, that Patrick Williams was experiencing some discomfort in the foot and he had talked to the medical staff or whoever at halftime. And so, look, if you're clearly invested into your younger pieces, your youth movement, why did you continue to let him play at this point in time? He continues to play, and then he has more discomfort in the foot after the game. That's disappointing. And look, I commend Patrick Williams for playing through it, but that's what I'm saying with this franchise. They clearly don't understand what they're doing. They don't know what they're talking about when it comes to investing in the players and what you're trying to build with. Because if he's a main piece where you've invested 5 years, $90 million into him, you feel like he's part of the long-term plan, why would you continue to play him if he's telling you he has discomfort in the foot and it's the same one that he had season-ending surgery on? It just doesn't make sense to me. And when we see what the Chicago Bulls did in the next game with these injuries, like it doesn't make sense. You had players that should have been playing far more than they did, and they didn't get an opportunity. You have your starting small forward, power forward, whatever. He's not playing. You have your first round pick in Modest Buzelis out there, and he literally gets 6 minutes on the day, which makes zero sense. He's not getting any playing time. How is he going to get better if you do not play him? And then with Julian Phillips and Dalen Terry, both of those players, they have shown that they put in the work, and Billy Donovan is the one that said you have to come out and earn the minutes. These players have looked like they've earned some minutes, and they're not even playing in situations where we're getting blown out. It makes zero sense to me, and this lets you know that the Chicago Bulls have no interest in really developing these young pieces, and that's why I'm like, look, you can say that you want Josh Giddey to be the franchise player or whatever. I build around him. I don't know what that looks like, but you're really not doing that because it doesn't make sense that the players that he's going to be relying on are not even playing. They don't play together, and the roster just doesn't make sense, and you don't have a plan to make it make sense. And so, look, this is something that I think needed to be said. And I think that not only did the Chicago Bulls get beat on national television, right, on ESPN, whatever, I think that they actually got embarrassed when you look back and you just hear the commentary from the game, and they're not saying anything that's not true. That's what's funny about it. Like, nothing that they said is not true, and it's right on par with, I think, how a lot of Chicago Bulls fans feel. So anyway, let me know in the comments. I think that today was just a rant video, but yes, I think that Richard Jefferson is right on, and I think that there is evidence that points to the fact that this team is not serious about its youth movement. They're not serious about turning things around, and they continue to go out there and give us the same type of team year after year. And what does that mean? That is the patented merry-go-round. This is what the Chicago Bulls fan base see night in and night out. It is just a continuum of this merry-go-round, and it has to stop. At some point, you have got to take 2 or 3 steps back in order to take 10 steps forward. We are tired of seeing a team that even if it gets into the first round, it's going nowhere. Can we please get back to a team that is serious in the Eastern Conference or serious in the NBA? Can we at least see a team that has a chance to hoist the trophy at some point again? Let me know in the comments what you were thinking about what Richard Jefferson had to say. Heck, what do you think about some of the things I've pointed out with this team just not buying in on the youth movement? I'd love to hear it. And once again, I appreciate everybody out there for liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. It means a lot to us here at Bulls Digest. We try to reach 5,000 subscribers before the NBA season ends. And I wanted to let you know about 75.9% of you that watch are not subscribed, so make sure that you go ahead and mash on that subscribe button, as it means a lot to us here. So we try to reach that goal. Look, even though it just doesn't make sense, and I'm still saying go Bulls, because that's what I do as a Chicago Bulls fan. Go Bulls, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.